dito sa Ayungin Show, no? At itong July 2024 na arrangement na to, it still holds, no? Wala naman tayong narinig na disruption or interference sa ating mga RORE missions dito sa Ayungin or Second Thomas Show since the agreement was reached. So I think this is a proof na diplomacy works, no? So again, not talking about the problem does not make the problem go away, but raising it all the time does not also solve it. No? So more can be handled through discreet diplomacy rather than through megaphone. Ito po ay aking pananaw. And secondly, if we cannot resolve it, let's not complicate it. No? And I will come back to that point later. I also think that we need to have the confidence as a country to deal with China, our biggest neighbor and our biggest trade partner. Lahat po ng kapitbahay natin sa ASEAN, malaki ang kalakalan sa China. Meron din silang issue sa China. Again, itong issue dito sa South China Sea, hindi ito unique or endemic sa pagitan natin at ng China. May issue din yung Vietnam, yung Indonesia, yung Malaysia, yung Brunei with China on the maritime front. Pero hindi yung nagiging front and center ng kanilang relasyon. Sa aking palagay, no, yung relasyon natin with China, it's independent of our ties with our other major partners like Estados Unidos, yung Japon, yung EU. Malaysia can deal with China on its own. The same goes with Indonesia, with Vietnam, with Thailand, na US ally. We should also do the same. We can and we should. Now, ano yung mga areas of cooperation sa pagitan natin at ng China? Marami po. Yung China can be a transformative partner para sa Pilipinas, particular na sa mga area ng turismo, infrastruktura, renewable energy, electric vehicles, at critical minerals. Simulan natin sa infrastruktura. Kaliwa lang, magsa-summer na naman po. No? Alam naman natin, noong nakaraang summer, halos everyday, no? Yung yellow alerts ng ating kuryente, manipis masyado yung reserva ng kuryente natin. At yung kakulangan sa tubig, laging issue yan every summer. Ngayon, kung matatapos ng kaliwag, malaking tulong po ito para sa ating water security sa Metro Manila at sa mga karatig na lalawigan, particular na siguro yung Quezon, Laguna, Rizal. No? Yung proyekto na yan, siguro matapos bago bumaba sa pwesto si Pangulo Marcos. So yan ay patunay na proof, no? Na tangible, konkreto, na patunay na yung kooperasyon ng dalawang bansa, malaki yung magiging ganansya para sa atin. Yung third player natin sa telecom industry, 40% stake ng China Telecom sa dito telecom industry. So again, this breaks the duopoly and improves services, particularly dito sa mga far-flung areas. Pangatlo, yung 40% stake ng State Grid Corporation of China dito sa ating National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. So again, ito, critical industries, tubig, kuryente, at telecoms. No? So yung investment, yung funding ng China dito sa mga areas na ito, malaki ang maitutulong para sa atin. At nakikita naman natin yung resulta. At makikita pa natin yan pag natapos yung kaliwatan. Ang sa akin, siguro, we should avoid overly securitizing and overly politicizing Chinese investments. Ngayon, kung meron pang mga security issues related dyan sa mga investments, kasi strategic sectors yan, understandably because we have issues with China, it's natural for some people, especially from the security side, to raise questions. Ang sa akin siguro, maganda tingnan natin, no? Let's run a security audit. We ask ourselves whether the security risk can be mitigated. What measures can we put in place to address the security issues? And if the security issues can be mitigated, then let's continue with the partnership. Ito pong NGCP, no? Noong nakaraang taon, for the first time sa kasaysayan ng ating bansa, yung grid connectivity ng tatlong major island groups natin, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, na kompleto. Matagal na pong aspiration niya. Natapos ng NGCP noong nakaraang taon. At largely because of, again, the partnership, industrial partnership with State Grid. Kasi po yung mga local partners niyan, SM Group and then Kumito Group, wala naman talaga po silang track record when it comes to operating a grid. No? But dahil kailangan ng may local partners, nandyan sila. Pero if we take out the State Grid Corporation of China from the equation without providing a better alternative, no? Especially yung may expertise sa track record when it comes to operating a very critical infrastructure like a grid. No? So, again, we have to ask ourselves, no? Whether that will improve the service, whether it will decrease the cost. Kasi, again, yung may proposal po na yung Maharlika Investment Corporation ay i-take over either the whole of the AGCP or ease out yung Chinese investment. So, siguro, tanongin natin kung may expertise yung Maharlika or Maharlika can get another group who has the expertise to take the place of State Grid. Sa area po ng renewables, no, may plano po, no? I think inaugurate na rin ni Pangulong Marcos yung nakaraang Nobyembre, kung hindi mo nagkakamali, yung pinakamalaking solar farm sa buong mundo that will rise in the border of Bulacan and Nueva Ecija. Ito ay part ng yung Mtera Solar Farm na project ng Meralco under the MVP Group. Ang napili pong contractor for the EPC, Engineering Procurement Contractor, is Energy China. So again, yung, when it comes to renewables, whether solar, wind, or hydro, Chinese companies dominate this sector globally. So it makes a lot of sense to partner with them in this space. Electric vehicles, pinag-usapan po natin yung PUV modernization. So nais natin na i-improve yung ating transport system at malaki yung magiging tulong kung sakaling palakasin natin yung ugnayan, partnership natin with Chinese companies. BYD po already overtook Tesla. No? And dito sa ating bansa, 70% ng electric vehicle market is dominado ng BYD. At ang kanilang partner, no less than Ayala. So, again, it's a recognition of how far China had made progress when it comes to this, of course, green mobility. Critical minerals. Yung China po, ang pinakamalaking merkado natin para sa ating mga mineral ores. Nickel, cobalt, yan, mahalagang metals yan para sa renewables, para sa electric batteries. Kung titignan natin yung ating kapitbahay na Indonesia, ang ginawa nila, yung konsepto ng resource nationalism. So instead of them exporting raw ores, na ang value is very little. So what they did was to invite investors. Mostly Chinese companies. Yung CATL po, the largest electric battery maker in the world. It's a Chinese company invested in Indonesia. Ngayon, ng Indonesia, they have this ambitious plan to develop their own EV ecosystem in 20 years. Starting from the mines, because they have a lot of nickel. They mine the nickel, process nickel, and then eventually build the batteries, electric batteries, and eventually build the EV vehicles, all at home in Indonesia. No? Actually, last year po, recent years, no, yung Indonesia, tinigil na yung pag-export ng raw ores. So, if you want our ores, come here. So, mga Chinese companies invest na, nandun sila sa kasalukuyan. So, siguro maaari natin tingnan to. Kasi we have a lot of nickel, cobalt, copper resources. Pero wala tayong processing capacity. Napakalimitado. So, this is where, another area where we can partner with China. Kasi sila po yung pinakamalaki when it comes to refining capacity. And they have companies with track record in this space. So I think it makes a lot of sense to work with them. Turismo. Yung Thailand po, no, US ally yan. Noong nakaraang taon, 6.8 million Chinese tourists ang pumunta sa Thailand. Vietnam, no, another country na may issue with China, gaya natin dito sa South China Sea, 3.74 million. Tayo po noong nakaraang taon, 300,000. So, ang layo ng diferensya. Yung Japan po, no? Japan. Last month lang, no? Last January, for the Lunar New Year, no? For the Chinese New Year. 980,300 Chinese tourists visited Japan last month. So, ang layo po ng diferensya. At makikita natin na yung turismo is really a very strong multipliers sector. Kasi again, gaya na nga mentioned before, hindi lang to BGC or Makati area. It goes anywhere. Palawan, Boracay, Bohol, Cebu. So, it goes to the very informal sector. So, yung China, yung pinakamalaking outbound tourist market in the world. And the potential is huge. So, if we will be reducing that flow, or if we will not be able to market well, then it will be our loss. Yung mga kapitbahay natin sa ASEAN, they are already expanding. May mga visa pre-arrangements na, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore. Yung visa upon arrival, meron na rin po mga ganong arrangements. Ngayon, recently, meron tayo mga alleged espionage cases. We should not downplay it, no? But we should not sensationalize. This will help insulate the investigation from public opinion or politics, and letting our law enforcement and our security agencies conduct thorough, impartial, and credible investigation. This will also prevent harm to our tourism. China is the world's largest tourist market, gaya na nabanggit ko kanina. And last year po, noong Disyembre, pinatigil na yung POGO. Isa yan sa mga issue kung bakit hindi tayo makahikayan siguro ng mga travelers mula sa China, no? Yung safety and security concerns because of the proliferation of the online casino and the scam centers here in the Philippines. So, yung pag-close ng POGO at yung pag-resume ng direct flights natin sa mainland, malaki ang may tutulong nito para i-improve ang ating turismo. Pero again, itong alleged espionage cases na to, we have to handle well para hindi maapektuhan yung flow ng turismo. Because again, yung sensational handling of these cases is bad advertising. I think we should exchange notes with our neighbors on how to separate the chaff from the grain and not scare away the goose that lays the golden egg. Punta po ako doon sa maritime tensions dito sa issue ng mga katubigan at kalupaan dito sa West Philippines. Ngayon, irony siguro sa kasalukuyan, we are loud on defense and deterrence, no? But our sense of insecurity grows. You see the dilemma there. Yung China Coast Guard, getting closer to Zambales, getting closer to La Union, to Pangasinan. Noong nakaraang taon, marami tayong violence incidents, hindi lang sa tubig, kundi sa impapawid na rin. Yung gray zone, nagiging actual yung support. Meron tayong water cannon incident, may ramming, may physical scuffle, may nawala ng daliri. No? So, what's next? Yung pinaka-recent encounter natin, dito sa impapawid ng Scarborough Shoal, as close as 3 meters. No? Yung PLA helicopter, dito sa ating BFAR patrol plane. So again, we have to ask ourselves, kasi itong strategy na to na ginagawa natin, over 2 years na, no? So what is the metric to assess whether this strategy is working or not? We have to ask ourselves hard questions. We are increasing, of course, the U.S. military presence, deployment of arms, nandiyan yung Typhoon missile dito sa Lawag, sa Northern Luzon. But again, all this may run the risk of engendering closer encounters between ships and aircraft of PLA, China, and that of the US. And if there is a miscalculation or accident, the likelihood that conflict will erupt in Luzon Strait or in the South China Sea is big. And of course, that's close to comfort for us. And another thing, we are thinking about filing another legal case when we are already struggling to implement the 2016 award, and compelling China to comply with the ruling. The likelihood that China will submit to such a case very low. Based on the experience of the 2016 award, China will likely weather the reputational costs. Philippines, we will score legal diplomatic victory, yes, but we will gain little on the ground. Of course, yung modernization ating Coast Guard at ng ating Navy patuloy, Yung upgrade na yan, patuloy yan. Pero whether that will deter China in the South China Sea, that's another thing. So again, kung makikita natin itong last 2 years, what we are celebrating, every successful road division, every radio or physical challenge that we do with China Coast Guard or PLA Navy, every concluded joint sail or exercise with US and our other partners, we are celebrating that. Ngayon, ano yung sineselebrate ng aking mga kapitbahay na claimant din dito sa South China Sea? Vietnam, for example. They are building a lot. They are building a lot in the Spratlys. Actually, baka patapos na yung second airfield nila sa Spratlys. Meron sila mga bagong infrastruktura like here, potential helipads, nangyayari yan as we speak. Yung Malaysia, nakakapag-extract na ng gas dito sa Kasawari Field na nasa Loconia Shoals, part ng South China Sea, south, malapit sa Sarawak. Again, itong Kasawari Gas Field, naging area for contention hindi lang sa pagitan ng Malaysia at ng China, kundi pati na ng Vietnam. Kundi ako nagkakamali ng ang 2 taon. Pero naayos din. At ngayon nakakapag-extract na sila. So again, all of this are taking place. So silent, subtle, discreet, quiet, stealthily. So itong approach na to does not necessarily mean capitulation. And our neighbors in Southeast Asia shows the way. So I think the combination of defense and diplomacy, deterrence and dialogue, they should always work hand in hand. Yung Vietnam, meron silang parang mantra, when dealing with China, they have cooperation and strategy. It's not only the struggle part, but the cooperation should always be there. They go hand in hand all the time. So I think we should not make the maritime law front and center ng ating relasyon sa China. The relation is long and broad. The dispute over lands and waters is only one part of it. Yung trade, investment, tourism, infrastructure, technology play a bigger part in the relations. We should learn from our other ASEAN neighbors how to manage differences with China, how to expand mutually beneficial relations with China, how to separate the chaff from the grain. Recently, kung nakarang araw lang, binalita na yung Pilipinas ay nakapag-export na tayo ng frozen durian sa China, yung pinamerkado nila. Nakapag-export na po tayo ng raw durian po. So ito, frozen. Malaki itong durian industry. Yung Malaysia, for instance, last year, $45 billion. Yung value na exports nila. And the biggest export market is China. Ngayon, punta po ako doon sa Trump 2.0. I would say yung volatility is there, unpredictability is there. Yung transactionalism, less values-based foreign policy, I guess it will compel calibration on our part, it should, and on the part of our other ASEAN neighbors. There will be more diversification, more hedging, even accommodation of China by ASEAN countries. And I think US should avoid being seen as unreliable. Pero yung rhetoric at posturing in recent weeks, like yung foreign aid freeze, yung tariffs against neighbors, allies, and rivals alike, without distinction. Yung arguing for security and prosperity to take over Greenland, to take over Panama Canal, to administer Gaza. So I think probably all of this may be done to extract better deals. Maybe, for instance, a bigger base in Greenland, maybe lower fees for US shipping using Panama Canal, or higher stake in Panama Canal terminals. But such rhetoric and posturing will bear on other fronts, like Taiwan, for example. In contrast, I think China will be seen as more stable. Yung first Trump, nandiyan na si Xi. Second Trump, nandiyan pa rin siya. Trump steps down, Xi will likely still be around. So in terms of stability, policy continuity, nandiyan. So yung Belt and Road Initiative is already 13 years. Pero yung rivals niya, like Blue Dot Network, they were announced but hardly made any significant impact yet today. Ngayon, yung China, meron na silang ibang initiatives like Global Development Initiative. Ang magiging diferensya lang kasi nito, yung policy continuity, stability, and the resources that they can put, that stands out. Kasi yung administration is the same. Only one political party since 1949. And this leader, the current president and sitting general secretary of the party, CPC ng China, he will likely be around until maybe 2030. So in terms of stability, continuity, nandun po yun. Isa sigurong source of concern sa atin, yung the fear of being sidelined or marginalized or blindsided in any great power deal. Meron pong kasabihan, if you are not on the table, you can be on the menu. Ito yung current predicament ng Ukraine. So nag-uusap na direkta ang Russia at ang Estados Unidos, Ukraine sideline. So that's another thing. So how to prevent this? No? Of course, the close consultation, close coordination with allies, napakahalaga. We need to diversify our security and economic partners. In fairness, in the last few years, we're doing this. No? But I think, no, more importantly, we need to have direct access. We need to have sturdy ties with both US and China. That's the best guarantee. Not to be blindsided. Yung tariffs na in-impose ng Estados Unidos, parang blanket in almost all countries, major partners, especially yung mga countries na pananaw ng Estados Unidos, maliit na yung kanilang trade deficit. That will put other third states like the Philippines in a bind. Kaya nabanggit ni Dr. Balawi kanina, isa sa pinakamalaking merkado natin, Estados Unidos. Isa sa ang pinakamalaking source of imports natin, China. So kung nagpo-produce tayo at ang components or inputs natin sinusource natin sa China, tapos i-export natin sa Estados Unidos, baka magpataw ng restriction ng Estados Unidos. Dun sa rules of origin, ito ay isang chapter sa trade agreement. Kung malaki ang kumbaga yung proportion ng yung final good, karamihan ng component mo ay galing ng China, baka i-bar nila from entry. So that's one thing. Ngayon, ano yung nakikita natin yung oportunidad dito? Kayatin natin yung mga Chinese enterprises to come here, to produce here, more local content here. Then we can argue to the US that these may be foreign enterprises like Chinese enterprises, but they are producing here in the Philippines. So these goods should be treated as Filipino goods entering US market, not Chinese goods entering US market. So that's nangyari na yan sa solar panels in the past. So sa EV market, that's another opportunity that we should not miss. Yung midterm election, papalapit na, Mayo po, no? May possibility na yung, again, South China Sea or West Philippine Sea may be used by some candidates, no, to put China on the spot. Kikita natin na halimbawa yung dating administrasyon parang associated with China, so yung kanilang mga kandidato, they're being put in a certain light. Potentially, baka may loyalty check on Chinoy candidates, no? But I think this will be less of an issue for local candidates, but more for national. Siguro, tapusin ko doon para may oras tayo na kay Mr. George Cham. I think ito also has a lot of ideas to share. Maraming salamat again sa pagkakataon. Maraming salamat Mr. Wilson Flores at ibang panelists dito sa table.
Thank you very much, Professor Lucio Pinto III, for very extensive opening statement. Later on, we will ask questions to him and to the other speakers. Last but not the least, we have invited Mr. George Cham for his opening statement. He is a business and civic leader of Pangasinan Province and Northwestern Luzon. He is also, his father was one of the founders of APCO half a century ago. He is an engineering graduate of University of the Philippines, Diliman, where he was a student activist in the 1970s. He is also a keen analyst of business, economic, and even geopolitical and historic trends in Asia Pacific and the world. Let us welcome Mr. George Cham for his opening statement.
Yes, salamat Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, esteemed colleagues, Isang magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Good morning. Nagtipon-tipon tayo ngayon para sa launching ng awards for promoting Philippine-China understanding. No? But my topic today is that after listening to all our esteemed panelists, no, especially when I came from Pangasinan, we know that Pangasinan has a lot of Chinese mestizo. Yung mga Sison, Gozon, Dison, Samson, Ison, Tuason, these are all descendants of Limahong. No? And Limahong was here during the 17th century, 16 something. No? So when Magellan supposedly discovered the Philippines, nandito na ang mga Chino. No? Kaya kagaya sinabi ni Professor Manlawi, at nakita natin, ang history natin is more than 1,000 years recorded, no? Recorded. So it might be more than 2,000 years, no? But recorded history is more than 1,000. At alam mo, nung panahon ng Kastila, kagaya sinabi ni, I have to go back to Professor Mabugmani, no? You know, Professor Mabugmani of Singaporean Foreign Minister and dating Security Council President. He said, the last 200 years was an aberration of history. For the past 2,000 years, China, India, was the producer of the world. Only the past 200 years, when China and India declined, kaya naging world of the Western power. No? So the last 200 years was an aberration. And now China is coming back, India is also coming back. No? These are not miracle. These are only coming back to the position they had before. So what can we do since they are coming back? And we are the closest neighbor, no? Sa atin naman, maski ang sabi na sa Chino, no? You would rather be kind to your neighbors than to your relatives. Kasi yung relatives mo, minsan, they immigrate to other country or other places. At hindi kayo makatabi. Pero kung neighbor mo, magkatabi kayo. Kung may sulog sa tabi, masusulog ka rin. Kaya dapat alagayin natin ang mga kapitbahay natin. Diba? Ngayon, tungkol sa Spanish time, the galleon trade was a trade of Chinese